Welcome to Concrete Block, the podcast where we dive into the latest news and current events from around the world. We're starting off with a developing story in the Middle East, where tensions between Iran and the United States continue to escalate. According to reports, Iran has proposed ending its chokehold on the Strait of Hormuz, a critical waterway for global oil trade, but the proposal does not address the country's nuclear program. In exchange, Iran is demanding that the U.S. end its blockade of Iranian ports. This development comes as Pakistan-led mediators attempt to revive stalled talks between the two nations. The situation remains volatile, with oil prices rising and a ceasefire in place despite ongoing tensions. The conflict has already resulted in significant loss of life, with over 3,000 people killed in Iran and more than 2,500 in Lebanon. It's worth noting that the U.S. has turned away 38 ships during the blockade, and the international community is watching the situation closely. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi met with Russian President Vladimir Putin on Monday as part of a diplomatic effort to find a resolution. As we continue to monitor this story, it's clear that the stakes are high and the outcome remains uncertain. We'll be keeping a close eye on developments in the region and bringing you updates as more information becomes available. We'll be right back with more of today's top news on Concrete Block. Welcome back to Concrete Block. We're diving into the latest developments in the global oil market, where tensions between the U.S. and Iran continue to drive prices higher. As we've been following this story, Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi recently met with Pakistani officials in Islamabad to discuss a potential framework for ending the conflict. However, it seems that these talks have yet to yield any concrete results. Meanwhile, U.S. President Donald Trump announced that he's calling off a planned trip by his envoys, Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, to Pakistan for talks on the war with Iran. The president cited too much time wasted on traveling and tremendous infighting and confusion within their leadership as reasons for the cancellation. As a result, oil prices have surged once again, with Brent crude rising by over 2% in early trading on Monday. Market analysts are warning that if the Strait of Hormuz remains blocked, we could see a significant crisis in the global oil market, with prices potentially skyrocketing to unprecedented levels. It's worth noting that both sides appear to be digging in their heels, with neither willing to budge. Iran is maintaining its blockade of the strait, while the U.S. is insisting that any resumption of diplomacy must come from the Iranian side. As one analyst put it, spot crude and product prices will trade higher and higher unless there's a significant breakthrough in the coming weeks. We'll continue to monitor this situation closely and bring you updates as more information becomes available. In the meantime, it's clear that the global oil market is facing a period of heightened uncertainty, with potentially far-reaching consequences for economies around the world. Welcome back to Concrete Block. As we wrap up today's show, we're taking a look at the complex and ever-evolving relationship between the United Kingdom and the United States. King Charles and Queen Camilla are set to arrive in the U.S. for a highly anticipated 4-day trip, marking the 205th anniversary of the U.S. Declaration of Independence from British rule. This state visit is significant, not only because it's the first by a British monarch in 2 decades, but also due to its timing amidst current geopolitical tensions. The trip has been overshadowed by the recent White House Correspondents' Dinner shooting and the ongoing acrimony between the two close allies over the U.S.-Israeli war on Iran. President Donald Trump has expressed deep displeasure with the British government for not supporting the offensive, which has strained relations between the two nations. Despite these challenges, Buckingham Palace has confirmed that the visit will proceed as planned following discussions with U.S. authorities. During their trip, King Charles and Queen Camilla are scheduled to meet with President Trump and address Congress, among other engagements. The British government hopes this visit will help shore up the future of the special relationship between the two countries, which is currently at its lowest point since the Suez Crisis in 1956. It's worth noting that while President Trump has eased his criticism of Britain in recent days, internal Pentagon emails have suggested the U.S. could review its position on Britain's claim to the Falkland Islands as a form of punishment for lack of support. This development underscores the deep-seated issues currently affecting US-UK relations. In a separate but related matter, the Jeffrey Epstein scandal continues to cast a shadow over the royal family, with King Charles's brother, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, facing police inquiries over his connections to the late U.S. sex offender. However, royal sources have indicated that it's not possible for the royal couple to meet with Epstein's victims during their tour to avoid impacting potential criminal cases. As we conclude this segment of Concrete Block, it's clear that the relationship between the UK and the US is navigating through challenging waters. With historical ties, current conflicts, and personal scandals all playing a role, this state visit by King Charles and Queen Camilla will be closely watched by diplomats, policymakers, and the general public alike. That's all for today's Concrete Block. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, stay informed.